The storm roared like a living creature the moment it swept across the northern range, tearing apart the night sky with its blinding fury. In the command center, alarms erupted in a deafening chorus as every radar screen flickered, glitched, and died one by one, plunging the entire room into a half-lit panic. It felt as if the skies themselves had closed their eyes, refusing to witness what was about to unfold. And yet, amidst the chaos, one small green blip continued to move, slow, steady, unbroken, cutting through the digital darkness like a heartbeat fighting to keep a dying body alive. That single blip belonged to her. The only one still airborne when the storm swallowed every other path. The only one refusing to turn back. She had always been different, long before she learned to fly. There was something in her quiet resolve, something in the way she stepped into challenges that others avoided, something in the way she carried pain without letting the world see its weight. From her earliest days in training, the instructors talked about her with a strange mixture of admiration and disbelief. She wasn't the loudest, the fastest, or the strongest, but she had an unwavering steadiness that made people feel safe just watching her work. If pressure was a mountain, she climbed it. If fear was a fire, she walked through it without blinking. And tonight, when the skies cracked open with a monstrous storm that grounded even the most seasoned pilots, she didn't hesitate. There were supplies that needed to reach the Valley Hospital. A child's life depended on that delivery. Turning back was never an option she entertained, not even for a second. Thunder shook the sky like an ancient drum, and lightning carved jagged scars across the horizon as she pushed the aircraft into the storm's open jaws. The moment she entered the heart of the chaos, the world became a swirling cage of roaring winds and blinding white flashes. The aircraft rattled violently, each gust slamming into the metal like a furious fist. But inside the cockpit, she kept her breath steady, her focus locked, her heartbeat controlled. She had learned long ago that fear did not serve a pilot, it only distracted the hands that needed to stay calm when everything else was falling apart. So she breathed through the chaos, through the violent shakes, through the sudden drops and sharp climbs the storm forced on her. She kept moving forward because someone out there needed her courage more than she needed her comfort. Back in the command center, disbelief turned into dread as screens shut down and communication lines went dead. No one had eyes on the sky anymore except for the single outdated backup radar that had no business surviving a storm like this. Engineers stood around it like worshippers around their last remaining candle in the dark. The green blip held steady, even when lightning made the building vibrate and even when the storm drowned every other electronic signal in the region. Her flight path was the only thread of hope they had left, a fragile, glowing reminder that she was still fighting her way through the impossible. She felt the moments when the aircraft almost gave up. The engine sputtered once, then twice, coughing like a runner collapsing at the final mile. Icing began to form on the wings, creeping like frostbite across metal. The storm winds twisted the plane, trying to shake it loose from the sky. Every second became a negotiation between her willpower and the violent forces trying to pull her down. She gripped the controls with trembling hands, fighting to keep her course from drifting. Memories of her father surfaced in flashes, how he used to take her to the ridge overlooking the valley, telling her that storms were never meant to scare humanity, only to test how deeply we wanted to rise above them. Those memories steadied her once again. She wasn't flying through the storm, she was flying through her purpose. Hours dragged like years as she fought through the darkest corridors of the sky. At times she could see nothing but a whirl of white rain and black clouds, yet she kept flying toward the coordinates she had memorized. She imagined the small hospital waiting with its lights flickering, doctors fighting exhaustion as they waited for the life-saving medicine she carried. She imagined the child whose breaths were growing weaker, whose family prayed with every minute that hope wasn't too far away. That image became her compass, stronger than any electronic guidance, stronger than any storm wall. When the worst of the storm finally began to loosen its grip, she realized how close she had come to losing control entirely. Her arms ached. Her chest felt tight. Her whole body fought against exhaustion, yet she refused to let it win. Below her, through a break in the clouds, she caught the faint glow of the valley, the final stretch of her mission. But the storm wasn't finished. In a final act of violence, it threw one last brutal wind sheer against her aircraft. She felt the plane jerk sideways so sharply that pain shot through her shoulder as she pulled the controls with all her remaining strength. The ground loomed dangerously close. Alarms screamed in the cockpit, warning her of altitude loss. But she set her jaw, summoned a resilience she didn't know she still had left, and fought the plane back upward, inch by inch, until she steadied it enough for descent. In the command center, cheers erupted as the green blip finally cleared the storm radius. People hugged one another, breathless with relief. No one understood how she had managed it. No one understood how she had kept her course when every radar failed and every communication line died. But the old backup radar told the story clearly: she had never once faltered. Not in direction. Not in purpose. Not in heart. When she finally landed, the rain still poured hard enough to blur the world around her. She opened the aircraft hatch with trembling limbs and handed the container of medicine to the waiting medical team. They rushed it away, shouting gratitude over the roar of the storm, but she barely heard them. She simply leaned against the side of the aircraft, breathing deeply, letting the reality sink in that she had made it through something few would ever believe unless they saw the radar log with their own eyes. She looked up into the storm, the same storm that had tried to bury her, and felt not fear, but a strange sense of peace. She had given everything she had. And it had been enough. Hours later, when the storm finally died and the sky cleared into a cold, quiet dawn, the people in the valley spoke of her with awe. They said she had flown with the bravery of 1,000 storms. They said the storm respected her enough to let her pass. But the truth was much simpler. She wasn't flying to prove anything or win any recognition. She was flying because someone needed her, and she believed that when the world is darkest, someone must choose to be the light that keeps moving. That night, she was that light. Steady. Unshaken. Unstoppable. And sometimes, that is all a hero needs to be. If this story touched your heart, please support the video. It truly helps more people hear stories like this. Comment below, what part of her journey inspired you the most?